What is up, TFA fam? It's me riding solo this week. Cody, he said he had some internet issues. I don't know if I believe that or not. Sorry, it took me a little longer than usual for us to go live because I had to prepare for an entire show. So, anyways, today we're going to be talking about the Week 11 top waiver wire ads. But if you're new here, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps us out. So let's just jump right into it. So today we're going to be talking about the waiver wires. Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. So, first of all, this week was absolutely brutal. It was a disgusting week. A lot of poor performances across the board. But, right now we're going to be looking at the quarterbacks. So, starting off, Jameis Winston. It is 2020, and apparently we're going to get some Jameis Winston in our lives. So, today, Drew Brees at the end of the second or into the first half, got hurt, has a rib injury. Right now, we're waiting to see the severity of that rib injury. He's scheduled for an MRI tomorrow, so we'll see if that is. And if Drew Brees is out this week, well, Jameis Winston, we know how good of fantasy goodness he can bring, and they get the Atlanta Falcons this week. The Atlanta Falcons are ranked 27th in pass DVOA, so this is a defense we definitely want to target. So, Jameis Winston didn't look great in his first attempt or in the second half. He finished 6 of 10 for 63 yards. They pretty much had the game intact, so they didn't really have to do a whole lot, right? So, if Jameis Winston ends up being the starter, I absolutely love him this week as a play because I think this is a great matchup for him. They still have all the weapons there in New Orleans, so we'll have to see how this shakes out. But as of right now, it's Jameis Winston week, and let's go. So we'll see what happens here. But if he is, I think he should be rostered in every league. I think he is a terrific waiver wire ad. And if you're looking for quarterback, I think this is a great spot to start. So moving past him, I think there's some other options here. I think Matthew Stafford, they get the Carolina Panthers this week. The Panthers can definitely be thrown upon and run upon. They currently rank 21st in pass DVOA, 24th in the run. He finished today with 24 of 33 for 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also, Kenny Golladay could be back this week. We'll have to see on that. As long as he returns, I think he's a great start going against Carolina. So I like Stafford as well. He's rostered in about 60% of leagues. So if he's out there, I think he's somebody that we should definitely be looking at. Phillip Rivers. Quietly, Phillip Rivers has put up some decent performances over the last month or so. I don't love it, especially, because considering the guy cannot move around in the pocket. However, this past Thursday, he did complete 29 of 39 for 308 and a touchdown. Has now thrown for 300 yards in three games this year. And over his last 4 starts has 25, 22, 8, and 16. So, I don't love it any more than the rest of you, but, starting Phillip Rivers against Green Bay, I think it's a good matchup for him. We'll have to see what's going on with Jair Alexander as well for Green Bay, but this game has some shootout potential. So if Phillip Rivers is sitting out there and you're needing a quarterback this week, I don't hate it. The next one, the other options, Baker Mayfield against Philly. I don't know what to expect about that. I think it's a decent matchup, but it's not, we know that Cleveland wants to run the football. And so, I don't think this is a great spot for him, but if you're in a pinch and it's a deeper league, 14, 16 team league, if Baker Mayfield sitting out there, he's worth a look. Derek Carr goes against Kansas City. I kind of went back and forth on this one, having a little bit higher because Derek Carr actually has played pretty well, but the last 3 weeks he really hasn't done a whole lot because they really haven't had to. We had the win game against the Browns. Now today against Denver, they really just kind of went out there and pretty much took care of business. Now it should be noted that Derek Carr's best game of the season came against Kansas City, and he threw, I think he had 24 fantasy points in 4-point touchdown leagues. So, this is a home matchup against Kansas City. They're going to have to throw the ball. Obviously, Kansas City is going to be looking for a little bit of redemption here after they got beat pretty handily against the Raiders in their first matchup. So Derek Carr, I think somebody is a little bit sneaky. As of right now, I probably view him as a QB2. But, could end up being like a QB1 because right now the Chiefs rank 6th in pass DVOA, but they're 30th in run DVOA. However, we know that they're going to have to throw the ball against Kansas City to keep up. So I do think Derek Carr makes a little bit of sense. And the last one is Andy Dalton. Minnesota's been terrible against the pass. He should be back this week. He's expected to return. But let's be honest, this isn't a great matchup. Andy Dalton had looked terrible before. But, if they can kind of get things back on track with this offense, they still have CeeDee Lamb, Andy Dalton, Michael Gallup. They have all the weapons there. So we'll see on that. So that pretty much wraps up the quarterbacks. Let's just jump right over to the running backs. The running backs. there's not a lot of great options this week, in my opinion. So you look at basically Naheem Hines, I think, is the most attractive option. He went out and had that monster game this past Thursday. Basically carried the ball 12 times for 70 yards. Also had 5 of 6 targets, 45 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's now scored at least 2 touchdowns in 3 games this season. And I think he remains a strong RB3 in PPR formats. I mean, he continues to look like the best running back that the Colts have right now. And, in PPR formats, if you're hurting at running back, I think that Naheem Hines makes some sense. He's still widely available in many leagues. So I think if Naheem Hines is out there in PPR, I would definitely look to add him. Wayne Gallman, I'm surprised he's still as widely available as he is, to be honest with you. As of right now, he currently sits at he's currently 4 straight weeks of double-digit fantasy points, but he's only rostered in 28% of leagues. I don't really understand the disconnect. I get some of the matches have been terrible, but he continues to rack up points. So, I mean, at this point, I think he makes for a pretty solid option, and I think he's somebody that people should be looking at. So, he is on bye this week, so I understand that. But even when Devonta Freeman comes back, I think Wayne Gallman has locked up this job. And because, I mean, it's not like Devonta Freeman really did anything whenever he was active before he got hurt. So I do think Wayne Gallman actually looks like the best running back in this backfield right now. So, I saw it should be mentioned as well. Whenever they come back, they do get Cincinnati, which ranked 25th in rush DVOA. So certainly a great matchup for Wayne Gallman when he comes back. Obviously, they're on bye. You're going to have to hold him, but I do think he makes some sense as a roster add. Salvon Ahmed today came out and, looked good again for 2 weeks in a row. He's only rostered in 5% of leagues, 21 carries, 85 yards, only had 1 reception for 5 yards and a touchdown. For me, this is kind of a 1 week add if you're going to add him because it sounds like Myles Gaskin should be back week 12 and Matt Breida should return, who returned to practice this week, should return next week. So I do think he makes a little bit of sense for kind of a 1 week add. I wouldn't go out and waste a lot of fab budget or spend a lot of waiver on him, or a high waiver or anything like that. I think he's more of just a 1 week play this upcoming week. The next one is Kalen Ballage. I cannot believe we're in 2020 and here we are talking about Kalen Ballage. But here we are. He had 23 touches today, 18 carries for 58 yards. Also had 5 of 6 targets for 34 yards. I think he's an RB3 against this Jets team, but the Jets have a top 12 run defense right now. So I don't think it's a great matchup. But I think that he is a functional RB2. We'll have to see what happens with Justin Jackson. And, it really Joshua Kelly is pretty much dust at this point. Austin Eckler is probably still 2 weeks out as in terms of returning to this offense. So, I think you could add Kalen Ballage if you're looking for, some depth or an RB3 spot. The rest of the guys I have on here, P. Ryan, they came out and said that he was going to be the starter moving forward. Shocker. But again, it's tough to trust any Jets running back at this point. And then I put Cam Akers on here. He actually led the backfield in touches today. Had carried the ball 10 times. However, Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown each also received eight touches apiece. There's no way you can start him, but I think he's worth a stash in the event that something happens to Darrell Henderson or Malcolm Brown. The other options on here I put on here are kind of secondary guys. Devontae Booker 2 weeks in a row has looked pretty good. And, we talked about it on the morning show this morning that, he makes a little bit of sense and somebody that you should be rostering, kind of holding. So we'll see here with Devontae Booker. I think he's somebody that you should definitely be looking at. And then you have Latavius Murray. Again, something happens to Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's in a smash spot. Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, all the rest of these guys are kind of just kind of holds, guys that maybe I want to roster just in case an injury happens. So, anyways, that's kind of where we have the running back position this week. Walito, yes. Here we are. Jameis is always a great spot. So, yeah, Nick Chubb stepping up. Yeah, that I was tilting my face off when Nick Chubb stepped out at the 1 yard line. I definitely could have used that touchdown. Hurt quite a bit to see that. But I get it. They were trying to win the game. I still feel like he could have scored. There was like 50 seconds left in the game. There was no way they were going to come back. But that one hurt a little bit. JJ Walsh, I'm up by 48 with only Dalvin Cook left to play against. Will I win? Yes. It would take that is, I mean, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because I mean Dalvin Cook has absolutely smashed the last couple of weeks, but I think this is not the best matchup against this Bears defense. The Bears have been decent against the run, and so I think you're pretty safe there. Winning by 3, he has Thielen, I have Dalvin Cook. Who wins? I think you win on that one. Unless the Vikings have to really try to throw the ball a lot, I don't think that you're going to be really worried about anything here. Dalvin Cook obviously is going to see the ball 20, 25 times. Thielen may only get the ball 3 or 4 times in this game. It's just really going to depend on game script. So, yeah, I wasn't sure because Bears D is better against running backs. Yeah, but like I said, I mean, volume is gonna trump out there. So. If there's any other questions, you guys can drop them in the chat and I'll definitely answer them. But let's go ahead and jump over to the wide receiver position. All right. So as far as the wide receivers go, it's pretty much kind of the same old, right? There's really no new to add here. Jacoby Myers is continuing to play well tonight. They are playing right now. As we're recording, he may have a little bit more now, but regardless, 3 receptions, 49 yards, and a passing touchdown. He is clearly Cam Newton's favorite target right now in the passing attack. So he continues to see the majority of the targets. He has double-digit fantasy points in 3 straight weeks. And like I said, he's a clear target for Cam Newton. They get Houston next week, which is a great matchup. It's in Houston, so we don't have to worry anything about weather. The Texans have allowed the 7th most fantasy points. So Jacoby Myers, if he's out there, he's definitely somebody that I would be looking to add. He has really kind of taken the next step here. It looks like N'Keal Harry is dust. And some of these other guys they have here, this is really not a big concern. Michael Pittman, stepped up this week, 7 receptions, 8 targets, 101 yards. He really has emerged over the last couple of weeks. The Rivers' go-to target has 15 targets, 11 receptions, 150 yards over those last 2 games. This week they get Green Bay. We'll have to see on Jair Alexander. I don't think that this is like a shadow situation where he's going to exclusively see Jair Alexander if he returns this week. So I'm not really that concerned. I don't think they're going to, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a shadow. So I think they can move him around and get him some opportunity here. I think this game has some sneaky shootout potential. And so I do like Michael Pittman as kind of a wide receiver 4. Darnell Mooney, has not played this week, but, he continues to flash. And I think that he is that clear-cut wide receiver 2 on the Bears. Now, having anybody on the Bears not named Allen Robinson is tough to trust. We'll see tomorrow because I think they're going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. As we know, that David Montgomery is out. They're basically going to be leaning on Cordell Patterson, and they did elevate Lamar Miller. So not that I'm really all that excited about a 30-year-old Lamar Miller, but we'll see on that one. Darius Slayton, I was surprised to see he is only rostered in 60% of leagues. And now, again, they are on bye this week, but, man, their schedule is fantastic coming off their bye. They get Cincinnati, Seattle, Arizona, Cleveland after their bye. So, I mean, this is multiple passing opportunities here. And so if Darius Slayton is sitting out there and somebody drops him because they kind of struggled a little bit, give me all the Darius Slayton because, we know that he is their field stretching wide receiver. He did, leave briefly today with a shoulder injury, but with the bye, I think he'll be fine when they come back. So I like Darius Slayton as kind of that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 moving forward. So if he's out there, I definitely think you should, somebody you could definitely take a look at. The other guy down here is Jalen Reagor. Now, it was a terrible game for the Eagles today. Got beat by the Giants. But with Jalen Reagor, he did lead all Eagles wide receivers with 19% target share. Caught 4 of 7 targets for 47 yards. It was a really brutal game for the Eagles overall. I don't get it. They play the Steelers. They play the Ravens and are able to, and with no weapons, mind you, and Carson Wentz goes out there and drops 30 burgers, but then when they're playing the Giants, they just completely shit their pants. So, but I will say over the next 6 weeks, the schedule is absolutely a dream. It's Cleveland, Seattle, Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona, and wrap it up with Dallas in the championship. So I know people are going to want to drop Carson Wentz because of how frustrating he's been, but this schedule is fantastic. They're going to have to throw the ball. These are great passing matchups. And so, Jalen Reagor, Carson Wentz, I think are all decent options moving forward. Tier 2, Keelan Cole continues to be on this list because Keelan Cole continues to put up big points. Today, he had, I think, 27 fantasy points. Caught 5 of 7 targets for 47 yards, a touchdown, and also had a return touchdown today. So if your league counts return touchdowns, Keelan Cole had a really big game. Cole Beasley, he's also on here. He hauled in 11 of 13 targets, 109 yards, and a touchdown. So I think both of those guys, I think in PPR formats, are decent options. Josh Reynolds, KJ Hamler, Henry Ruggs, Cam Sims are all just kind of I think worth a look. Josh Reynolds has gotten more involved in the last couple of weeks, so I think he's interesting, and I think KJ Hamler as well. But I think that pretty much does it for the wide receivers. Like I said, it really wasn't a huge week for waivers and really waiver options. And then let's just jump over to the tight ends really quick. Austin Hooper, if he's available, I think their schedule moving forward is fantastic, especially for tight ends. So I really like Austin Hooper if he's out there. I think he was really borderline 60% rostered. So if Austin Hooper's out there, I definitely think he's something that you can start kind of on a weekly basis, not just a streaming option, but something you can look to use moving forward. Logan Thomas actually got involved today. I think he had 4 for 60 for Alex Smith. So I don't mind Logan Thomas. They also get a really good matchup next week. So, and the week after that, because week after that is the Thursday night or Thursday against, which is Thanksgiving, not this week, but next, where it's also a great matchup. So Jimmy Graham, Robert Tanya, and Dalton Schultz. I also put George Kittle on here because there was some stuff going around today that George Kittle might not actually be out as long as people think that he's going to, and that he has an opportunity possibly to come back a little bit sooner. So I think it's something to monitor. He's only rostered in 60% of leagues. A lot of people have dropped him. And if he's out there and you have an IR spot, I think he's worth an ad and to throw on your IR if you can do that. Because if he comes back, he could be, kind of a league winning upside type ad. So we'll have to see if that comes to fruition on George Kittle. But if it does, I think George Kittle is at least worth a look. So, yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the list for this week. Let's see. Let's go to some of these questions. Is Dobbins droppable? I think you could, but it would really depend on who you're dropping him for, because I think, if something happens again, I think we need a couple injuries here, because this is what's so frustrating about this backfield is Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and J.K. Dobbins are all involved, and this offense just hasn't looked very good. They're playing a Patriots defense that just got torched the week before against the Jets, and they just haven't looked very good. I haven't been following it, obviously, right now because I'm doing this, but, the last I saw was 23-10, and that's just not going to get it done. So, I think you could drop him if there was somebody out there that made some sense, but I wouldn't just drop him. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, I was going to put him on here. With Alan Lazard returning, and I just don't know on a weekly basis, if he's somebody you're going to be able to trust. I guess I probably could have added him on there. He did have a big game today, 4 receptions, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. But he's just very boom or bust. And I don't know if he's somebody you're ever going to know when you actually want to play him. Rank them rest of season: A-Rob, Ridley, Kenny G, and Deontay. So I would rank them probably Ridley, A-Rob, Kenny, Galladay, and Deontay is probably how I would have it. No, I did not see Boyle's injury. I've been up here grinding this out, trying to get this information out here. So I've been pretty much up here for the last hour going through all this so I could get the waivers out, because Cody at the last second, or I should say at the last second, but kind of all day today was mentioned. He said he didn't know if he was going to be on, and told me about 7 that he wasn't going to be able to make it on. So instead of preparing just quarterbacks or running backs like I typically do, I had to prepare the entire show. So no, I have not been even watching, but it doesn't look like I've missed a whole lot. So anyways, if there's any other questions, then I think we'll wrap this up, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. So, yep, no other questions. So, once again, I appreciate everybody rocking with us. It's been an awesome season so far. We're almost to the fantasy playoffs. I'm going to be spending a lot of time over the next day and a half, really kind of prepping for the checking out what all the fantasy playoff schedules is, because I plan on, when we do the buy sell show, is putting a big emphasis on really focusing on the fantasy playoffs, because for most people the buy or the trade deadline for most people is this week. So I think that is something that'll help a lot of people. And it's not just going to be players you can trade for, but also players you should be adding. I think players you should be dropping, and, kind of really focusing in on the fantasy playoffs, because we're down in that final stretch right now of either, you're on that outside looking in, or maybe you're a team that's cruising, look like you're going to have a first round buy. So I think that's kind of what we're going to be doing. I really appreciate everybody. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I really, really do appreciate it. I can't tell you how much I do appreciate all the support we've gotten this year. And until then, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Peace.